in this video, I'm going to speak about the things that had happened prior to Thomas Markle taking these infamous photos with the paparazzi that became the reason why Meghan has disowned her father. But we have to go back to the very beginning to understand why he took those photos. Now, we know the wedding was in May of 2018, on May 19th, at St. George's Chapel. In the beginning, Meghan did not give her father the same protections as she had given to her mother. Buckingham Palace had agreed to provide assistance and protection for both of her parents. I mean, why wouldn't they? Of course they would, considering Thomas Markle is the one that raised Meghan. She was with her dad and had a very loving relationship with her father. So, of course, the palace is going to agree to provide protection and assistance to both parents. But Meghan denied this assistance for her father. And once the couple became engaged, that's when things started to change. And in this video, I'm going to explain the two things that had happened prior to Thomas Markle taking these photos. Now, considering his image and how things were looking for Thomas, I don't blame him for taking these pictures, because Meghan was denying her father every opportunity to get the right people to help him to understand this barrage of media coverage, even the hounding and finding out where the half siblings lived and harassing them. People were completely overtaken by this media coverage of this wedding. And if you are being bombarded by the media and you don't have anyone helping you to navigate something that you're not used to, you're going to try to speak out and to get your story told. And this is exactly what Thomas Markle wanted to do later, after it was very clear that Meghan had no intentions of supporting her father for reasons I talk about in this video.
Now, this is the part where I don't think a lot of people are speaking up about this part of the story. Okay, so the story is while she lived a big chunk of her life with her father, considering that she's estranged from him right now, his actions since the wedding to Harry have driven a bottomless pit between their already strained relationship. Whether it was the whole controversy around his staged paparazzi photos, despite Meghan and Harry's continued attempts to dissuade him, as well as their offers of assisting him and the promise to brush off the missteps if he just stops. This was via The Guardian. They wrote this. Or his threats of petitioning California courts to see his grandchildren. This is the narrative that is out there that is completely missing the real reason. And I'm going to tell you now, because after speaking with Thomas Markle, he told us when all of this went awry. But the newspapers don't ever report on it. This is what I find fascinating, because Meghan and her team are constantly putting out this narrative. Well, my daddy did this and my daddy did that. But they're not talking about what Meghan did prior. We go back to when they were engaged, when all of this was, Mommy, I'm going to marry a prince. It's Prince Harry. And we all heard her say she didn't know who he was, and Harry swallowed up the lie that Meghan didn't know who he was, which is complete nonsense. Go back and watch the documentary when Meghan tells her mother that she is engaged to Prince Harry, and immediately Doria knows who Prince Harry is.
And when she told me, we're on the phone, and she says, Mommy, I'm going out with Prince Harry. And I started whispering, oh my God.
Yeah, the story about her not knowing who he was is a lie. The mother knew who Prince Harry was. Meghan knew who he was. See, it's the lies and the manipulation around Meghan telling people things that don't add up. It just doesn't add up. Well, around that time, in the very beginning, when she was still speaking with her father, two things happened. Two things happened that Meghan did that caused this rift. And it wasn't because of the photos that Thomas Markle took. And it wasn't because of him saying that I'm going to petition the courts because I want to see my children. The two things that Meghan Markle did were she connived with her mother when they were in Canada, because Thomas Markle wanted to come up to Canada to take photos with Doria and Meghan in the very beginning, when everything was still good between Thomas Markle, Doria, and Meghan.
Because in the beginning, there was a joint statement from Doria and Thomas saying that they are incredibly happy for the engagement of their daughter to Prince Harry. So there was a cooperation in the beginning.
And this is when they plotted that they were going to get rid of Thomas because they wanted to move forward with their relationship as a mother and daughter and get rid of Thomas Markle Sr. when they were first starting to get news done about them, about Meghan engaged to Harry. They connived and did not let Thomas come to Canada to take photos. And he was confused about this. Why are you telling me that I can't come and take photos and we can't establish that, I'm your father, this is your mother? Like, Meghan was living in Canada at the time and she refused to allow her father to come. Before there were even any pictures taken by the paparazzi. Before there was anything. The announcement had just happened and she refused to even allow her father in the beginning. Okay? This is why Harry did not meet Thomas Markle. She'll tell you the lie. This is why she'll say Thomas Markle was not allowed to come to Canada to paint the picturesque photo of, Meghan Markle, the soon-to-be wife of Prince Harry. This is her mother. This is her father. They plotted at that moment. Okay? Then the other thing that Meghan did that caused the rift was she told Thomas that in order for you to be in my life, at this point in my life, getting ready to marry into the royal family, you have to disown your children, Samantha and Thomas Jr. Because if I let you into my life, Papa, I have to allow your two children into my life as well, and I don't want them in my life. We also know that when Meghan started dating Harry, around this time, Samantha Markle phoned Meghan Markle, phoned her sister Meghan, and Meghan hung up on her, asking, how did you get this number? So Meghan knew if she, at that point, when she was going into this new transition to be a future royal, if she allowed her father to be a part of the narrative, that his children would have to be a part of that narrative too, because they are the half siblings of, and she knew that she did not want them to be a part of the story. This is why she disowned her father from the beginning. This is why Harry never met him. It doesn't even make sense that Harry, a prince, would not even go ask your father for the hand in marriage. So you think about where this all went wrong before Thomas even took the pictures. So this is how you know the picture taking was just an excuse. So much so that Meghan set up her own father to have a public excuse for disowning her father. Because she couldn't tell the public that I'm disowning my father because I don't want him to bring his children, her half siblings, into the picture. She didn't want to tell people that she told her father to disown his children. That would not look good for Meghan. So she had to create a reason to disown her father. This is how she set up her father. This is how she reached out to the photographers at Backgrid, and she had them reach out to Samantha to persuade her dad to take the pictures so that he can improve his image. Because we know that Thomas Markle Sr. was set up by his own daughter to take those pictures, because Meghan is still working with this same company to take photos. This company that took the photos that she did not like that her father took. So how can you still be in business with the company that took these photos of your dad How can you still be working with them? And your dad taking these photos that you say you didn't want him to do, but yet you're still working with the people that took the photos of your father. You see, they don't say this part of the narrative. They leave out certain pieces, and I think that's because Meghan is the source for a lot of these stories to continually paint the narrative that her father has done something so egregious, I can never speak to him again. You took those photos, you lied to me, Father, and I'm never going to speak to you again. That's the public perception of that. But behind the scenes, Daddy, I am not going to let you into my life if you continue to talk to your children, Samantha and Thomas Jr. And by the way, you can't come take photos with me and Mommy in Canada because I want to paint the narrative that you are not a good daddy first. That's the behind the scenes. But that's just kind of like the stuff that no one's really talking about. They say this continually in these stories. Okay, about how this relationship went bad. But Meghan knew exactly what she was doing in the very beginning because she knew he could never come into this part of her life transition. She could not allow it. But what she was doing all along was making phone calls and texting. Hang low, Daddy. I love you, but hang low. I can't, you can't come take pictures with me and Mommy. No, you can't do this. You can't come right now. Texting him because he was reaching out. Okay, what's going on? When am I going to come see you? You're engaged now to Prince Harry. Like what? Were you going to come see me? And then there were stories about how she could not go see her father because it would be too much of they would hound her father. Just all the lies, the manipulation around even seeing her father, pre-paparazzi photos of the father, until she was able to create the narrative that would be okay for her to disown her father publicly. So she set him up to take these photos, and you lied to me. You took these photos. This is why I don't talk to my father, because he lied to me. He disowned. He went against my word when I said, do not go talk to the photographers. Don't set up these things. Don't sell me out, Daddy. Don't do all these things. And he did it. Oh my goodness, he did it. See, this is why I can't like my father. This is why I can't have a relationship with him, because he lied to me. He went and took those photos with the paparazzis. All along, she's the one that set it up for her to take the pictures, for her father to take the pictures with the paparazzi. This is the conniving of this woman, folks. So much so that Thomas Markle even had to go and file a lawsuit against the people that took these photos and set him up, because they lied about the photos and how he was supposed to be portrayed. That's a whole other story, folks. I can't even get into that story. But he knew it was a setup later after he saw the story. It was nothing what they had agreed to. So Meghan, she painted this picture long ago. This Daily Mail article, citing a glowing article in People magazine, wrote, Meghan's friends portrayed the letter as loving, conciliatory. After the wedding, she wrote him a letter. She's like, Dad, I'm so heartbroken. I love you. I have one father. Please stop victimizing me through the media so that we can repair our relationship. Knowing she had no intentions of repairing her relationship with her father. And so this article that she had her friends write for People magazine spoke all these negative things about Thomas Markle. Thomas says that the letter was misconstrued. When I opened the letter, I was hoping it was the olive branch I longed for. This is what Thomas Markle says. I was expecting something that would be a pathway to reconciliation. Instead, it was deeply hurtful. I was so devastated I couldn't show it to anyone, and never would, had it not been for People magazine piece, which meant I had to release portions to defend myself. So the only reason why Thomas Markle wrote or released part of the letter that Meghan had wrote to him is because of what the People magazine article was saying about him. And it was saying, and the only reason why he didn't release the whole letter is because she was being so nasty and saying so many lies about her father, because she wanted him to release this letter. She wanted her father to try to defend himself with the letter that she wrote to him, but he didn't do it. And so this is when Meghan ended up having this article in People magazine written where her friends said all these things about her father that weren't true. In the mail, Markle says that he had been holding on to the letter for 6 months and wasn't planning to share its contents, but felt his hand was forced by the People article. The mail said that it did not pay Markle, nor was pay requested by him for the interview. So, it's just really sad to see what Meghan is doing, that she is setting up her loving father to be this bad guy, to be this person that has done all these horrible things, but you don't see the side or the reasons why Thomas did the things that he did. And at the same time, Meghan is breaking this man's heart into a million pieces. The man that did everything for her. Things that her mother never could have done. Like paying for her college, helping her into Hollywood, break into Hollywood, into her career, supporting her, like giving her everything. But she wants to paint a picture that is not the truth. Is this a man that's going to connive and try to sell out his daughter for money? No, if anything, he's going to try to protect himself to not have people think these things by releasing the letter that shows what Meghan said to contradict what the friends are saying in the People magazine article. He is living in his retirement years in Mexico. What is his motive to get money? He is not living an extravagant lifestyle, being a playboy, trying to break into Hollywood with some hoes on his arms.
And if your daughter is ignoring you, not offering to give you any assistance, no financial support to deal with all the harassment, you would do what you could to make a buck to try to get yourself out of this predicament. Who could blame Thomas Markle for the modest amount of money that he did get? He had to do what he had to do.
This is a man that's living off of his healthy retirement that he got being a lighting director, an Emmy award-winning lighting director, living a very modest life. He's not a pimp. He's not trying to go out and just, live this very Hollywood egotistical life and trying to make more money off of the back of his daughter. That's not the narrative that we see. We see a loving grandfather in his later years of life trying to just live a humble, simple life and to see his grandchildren. And we have in this moment Meghan Markle denying him this off of the lies she painted against him. Don't believe it, folks. Understand the real story from Thomas Markle's mouth, what his daughter said to him. She said to him why she will not speak to him again. And it wasn't because you took some pictures and you had them sold to a tabloid. That is not the story. That's the story she's telling everybody in the media. This is what she's telling people that don't follow this. But the real story is much more realistic based off of the behaviors and actions that we have seen Meghan Markle do. We have seen her do what she's done to the Queen, to the royal family, and now we see what she has done to her own father. Let's believe the truth, okay? Let's not believe the lies. Because I can tell you right now, you look at what this woman is doing and you know what the real story is. And the picture she's painting against Thomas Markle is a bold-faced lie. Don't believe it.